So you got yourself some African cichlids and you're having trouble with aggression. Well, welcome to the show. In this video here, I'm going to get right into a few things you can do to help reduce this aggression and make the experience a little bit more enjoyable for you. So stay tuned for the whole thing. You're going to hear all these tips, all these tricks, and proven things that have worked for me with my aggressive fish. So let's get right into it.
Like this and like that and like this and like this. Like this.
So to understand how to help reduce aggression, we must need to understand what causes aggression. And we're going to go over all those points. So those points are things such as territory, food, social status, or the hierarchy within the aquarium. It could be disease, temperature. Things like this will definitely cause aggression, and the species that you're keeping. Like here with these Mbuna cichlids, African cichlids are known for aggression, but you can keep fish like this and any other aggressive fish in harmony as long as you do your research like you're doing now by watching videos like this and trying things out. I always say, not one aquarium is the same. They're like a fingerprint. So these are guidelines you can go by that we've learned over other years, which helped. But in the end, you're going to have to find out what works for you and experiment with that. But these tips will definitely help. So let's get right into it. Let's figure out how to reduce the aggression in these fish, and we're going to figure it out for you. So number one on that list is, let's start with the hierarchy, right? Anytime you have several African cichlids in an aquarium, like this 75-gallon aquarium here, one of the top things that they recommend is to overcrowd these fish. And that does help. That is something you need to do, because the more numbers you have, the less chance any one fish is going to get picked on. And that goes for the same when you're adding your new fish to your aquarium. You never want to add 2 or 3 at a time. You want to add at least 6 to 7 at a time, because when you put them in, they're the new guys on the block. So if you add 6 or 7 as opposed to 2 or 3, not one single fish is going to get totally torn up. So having said that, territory. You want to have, especially with cichlids, the Mbunas, especially because they're rock dwellers. Their name means rock dweller. They need caves, holes, and stuff to go into, and territories to claim as their own. So as you see here, this thing's packed with Texas holy rock. And it's amazing how they dig their own little caves and holes underneath and create their own spaces in this tank. That's going to help reduce aggression with these fish and a lot of other fish. Also, having all these rocks in here helps break the line of sight. So if these weren't in here and it was just an open aquarium and the Mbunas could see everywhere, they'd constantly be attacking each other for the most part. Having these rocks in here, they can't always see everybody and everything that's going on, plus they have their own homes to go into. So these two things will help reduce aggression. Now let's talk about several other ways to help reduce aggression. One thing you can do is you can do the 3 to 1 female to male ratio. For every 3 females, have 1 male. This is going to help mitigate and kind of spread the aggression out, because you have more females than males in the tank. So obviously that's going to reduce aggression in your fish. And it does work, but I have never really followed this rule, and I don't have a lot of issues. So that's one rule that is kind of a debatable one. And keep in mind, all these are kind of debatable. It all comes down to your tank and your situation, but these are just guidelines that will help. Another thing you can do is add power heads, like this one back here. You can aim it towards the surface of your tank to help with the oxygen and gas exchange to get more oxygen in your tank. But what it also does to help reduce aggression is it adds flow in the tank. It gives the fish something else to do, something to fight against. It's like a distraction. Call it like almost like a ditherfish axe. You put a ditherfish in a tank to help kind of cause distraction. Hey, what's that? I'm not focused on him anymore. I could use a ditherfish in my 125-gallon Oscar tank, because the one is always bullying the other one all the time. If I had something else in there to cause distraction, it would be reduced. So another good way to reduce aggression is to have power heads in your tank, because they also help clean the tank, and it does help reduce aggression. This one, guys, is an important one. If you're going to keep aggressive fish, especially like African cichlids, you need to have a spare tank handy. Have an extra 55-gallon, 75-gallon laying around that you can set up, even a 40-gallon breeder for a purpose of, if you're having a bully in your tank and you have tried everything but he still continues to bully, you can have that spare tank laying around where you can pull him out, put him in that vacation or time out tank, if you will, and leave him in there for a couple weeks. It is said that after 2 weeks, they forget their hierarchy, their place in the community of the tank they were in. When you put them back in, they're starting over. Therefore, the bully or the boss is no longer the bully anymore. This works for some people. It does not work for others. So that's another way you can help reduce aggression in the tank. But keep in mind, a good tank boss will stop fights. He does not initiate them. So if you have a tank boss that is bullying and starting fights, he's not really a good tank boss. So it'd probably be good to get him out of that tank anyways. See if the 2-week reset helps. And if it does not, you may want to think about just putting him in a tank by himself with another fish that's bigger or the same size that has the correlated attitude as well, that can handle his own. And then you can have maybe slowly start another cichlid tank with more aggressive fish that in high numbers get along eventually. And it might turn into a tank that'll be your favorite. You never know. That's the great thing about this hobby. What started as an issue could turn into something awesome and a whole nother aquarium that you can enjoy. That's basically the main factors to help reduce aggression with aggressive fish in an aquarium. Always important to keep their bellies full. I feed my fish one time a day, but it's high quality food, so their bellies are always full. And I don't have to feed them multiple times a day because of this, and I'm not overfeeding my fish, causing disease and other issues associated with that. So if you have a good high quality food, and make sure that if you're keeping ambunas, they are more of herbivore type of fish, so they're going to like things like spirulina, algae wafers, seaweed, things like this. But I feed them mine Extreme Aquatics and New Life Spectrum, and they get a mix of that once a day, and they're happy, healthy, growing, super colorful. They're having babies in here left and right. Everybody gets along here for the most part. One of the ways that you can find out what this aggression looks like. What does this aggression look like? I see that question asked. So let's talk about that a little bit. What does aggression look like as opposed to maybe a shimmering, which is a male trying to attract a female? What's the difference? How do we tell the difference? Let's check that out real quick, because I think that's important to understand when we're talking about aggression with fish. So a lot of times, in my experience especially, having these guys right here and my tiger barbs over here and my angelfish over there, angelfish are one of the most territorial fish I own. They're crazy. But when you're talking about African cichlids and you're talking about mbunas like these guys here, don't confuse when you see them come up like this in front of another fish and they're shaking real fast or vibrating their body, and they call it shimmering. That is simply the male trying to attract a female and say, hey, I like you, let's go make babies. And then they go back to their claimed territory, the tank, and they have their babies. And so that can easily be confused with an aggressive act because he's shimmering like this. But when these guys are fighting, it's a clear difference. You can see a very clear difference because they're circling each other, they're lip locking, they're fighting, chasing each other. That's aggression. You can also physically look at your fish, take the time to troubleshoot and look at them. Are they banged up? Do they have marks? Are their lips turning white? Their lips will turn white from repetitiveness of lip locking and things like this in fighting. You'll see marks on their fins, their fins being eroded, not eroded, but eaten away. They'll chew at each other's fins and things like that. So that's aggression. You'll know it when you see it. It's very easy to tell the difference between that and a mating ritual. So that's it, guys. I hope this video helps you. Leave a comment below if it does. Certainly appreciate everybody's support who subscribed to me. I'm trying to hit that 1K mark. I'm about 653. So if you like this video and want more content like this, it's quick, to the point. I know when I'm on Google and I'm looking something up, I want the answer now. Sometimes that doesn't always work out and you get frustrated. So I try to gear my videos towards right now, quick to the point stuff and answers that you need. So like I said, if you like content like that, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any advice and tips and tricks on this subject too, by far, let me know in the comments, because I like to learn new things too. But that's been my experience with these guys here. They definitely can have the aggression, and some are more aggressive than the others. If you follow my channel, I have a video explaining the different cichlid and the Mbuna species and which ones are a little bit more aggressive than the others. But again, that's relative to your situation. Those are guidelines. You can have what is said to be the most docile Mbuna be the worst one in your tank. And that goes for any fish: tiger barbs, Oscars, angelfish, gouramis, blood parrots. Every fish has a different personality, just like a human. So these are guidelines. Take them with a grain of salt, because the only thing that really matters is what you find out in your research and in your tanks. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Have a safe rest of the week, and till next video.